Well, I'm a long way from Western Kentucky on this morning. That's the San Francisco Bay behind me, featuring some sharks, and it's fitting because Upton Stout, newest 49ers standout, is trying to become a shark himself. Why? Well, remember Jauan Williams, great 49ers nickelback? They called him the Shark because of his blitzing ability. Turns out that Upton Stout reached out to Jauan shortly after being drafted.
Really just reaching out to him just so I could just pick his brain and see like how he played a lot of concepts, technique, and things like that. Really just trying to figure out like how I could be the best me, but always knowing like what the standard was before I came in. I just want to see what the standard was and see if I could try to surpass that standard.
So that's a good start for Upton Stout, and it matches what we learned about him. I went to Western Kentucky this offseason, back where Jack Harbaugh used to coach. That's Jim Harbaugh's dad, and I sat down with Tyson Helton, who's Upton's college head coach, and talked about his attitude and predicted that he'd play a lot taller than his 5'8" frame. I think that Upton Stout has so many fans in Western Kentucky who believed that this ascent up the depth chart would be possible. Have a listen to what I unearthed on this trip. One of the newest 49ers and definitely the biggest personality of this 2025 draft class, Upton Stout, went to college here at Western Kentucky. I'm on location where I got a chance to talk to the Hilltoppers head coach, Tyson Helton, about Upton Stout's 3-year college career. I put on the tape of Upton, and first two plays are him just barreling into the backfield. I know he's a great cover guy. I think his first game here at Western Kentucky there was a pick six. Yeah. And obviously the 49ers like that, but at 5'8", 180, he highlights his physicality on his tape. And it's almost like he's playing as a glorified linebacker, and I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Is that what he's about, that physical play?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably his best skill trait is his physicality. You know, I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He shows up to the park mad, which is good, you know, because we're in a confrontational sport. And, you know, he has a pro mentality about him. You know, his work ethic, his day-to-day routine, you know, and I think he gets the fact when I say chip on the shoulder, hey, I'm 5'8", 180, but I'm going to show the world that I can ball out. And so, you know, you see that in his play every single down, basically. But probably his best skill trait is you know, his aggressiveness and being able to blitz him. And there's a skill to that, too. There's a talent to that piece. His timing is really good. You know, we do a really good job here offensively of trying to train our quarterbacks and making the defense use their indicators, make them show, you know. And so we're gonna try to get that quarterback to make the coverage show what they're gonna do or what's the pressure gonna be. On the flip side of that, Upton, you know, he spends a lot of time on his craft playing that game and trying not to give those keys away. Mm-hmm. And so there is a talent in that with his blitz ability. And he's a thick body. You know, he's not a tall body, but he's a thick guy, big shoulders, can run through people, and he has no fear. So that skill is really, really good, especially with what he's going to be doing in San Francisco.
And there's instincts, and there's also the testament to hard work, right? The film preparation.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a couple, not necessarily blitzes, but he sniffs out screens that I've seen on tape.
Yep.
And it seems that, you know, you talk to any NFL coach, that's what's going to make a difference because everybody's fast, everybody's strong at that level. Yeah. It seems that he might have that extra edge from the preparation standpoint.
You know, there's two things. One, the ball finds him. You know, what do I mean by that? That means, you know, it's thrown to him, you know. But there's a talent in that. He drops into areas and has a knack for where that ball might be headed. He can judge it like a receiver, and he has great ball skills, so then he can go do something with it when he intercepts it. But you're talking about a guy that spends a tremendous amount of time honing his craft. I mean, the guy sits on the front row every meeting that I ever had here. He has missile lock on you at all times. His eyes never leave you. You can tell the man is a sponge. You know, he is trying to absorb and gain knowledge every time he's sitting in any meeting. I see the guy constantly in the world of technology. You know, everybody can say, yeah, I sat at my house and I watched game film and all that. He's kind of an old school guy. He wants to be up here like the coaches and be in this arena constantly and be in the film room watching film and being able to walk down the hall and share ideas with coaches. And he just treats it like a pro, and he's a guy that he's going to come in and he's going to put in a full day's work. And, I think he understands he has to do that. He takes tremendous pride in the fact that, yeah, I have a lot of talent. Yes, I am a good player, but I'm constantly trying to show the world that I'm trying to be the best in the business too. So excited for him to see where that goes with San Francisco.
And finally, to conclude this 49ers alarm update, have a listen to my interview with KMBR this morning. A lot happening with the 49ers. We've got to get on it. Here's the talk on KMBR.
Let's talk about it with David Lombardi. He covers the 49ers for the San Francisco Standard. Read him at sfstandard.com. Good morning, David. How are you, man?
Hey, morning, David.
Good morning. How are you?
We're good. We're good. I'd love to hear your take just from the top. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. But let's start with the kicker. I'd love to hear your breakdown. And I guess the secondary question is how you feel Jake Moody is sort of like viewed inside that locker room and by the fan base going into this season.
Well, what Kyle said is right. The competition isn't over. They've already hosted a competition right in front of their eyes that most teams don't get to host. Like you normally just have one kicker. You go through training camp. If that kicker struggles at any point, then you look at the contract and you decide what to do. And a lot of teams will cut the kicker and bring somebody else in. So the 49ers have already gotten 24 kicks out of both Jake Moody and Greg Joseph as a trial right in front of them. They were relatively even. I think Moody made 21 and Joseph made 22 of them. So if Moody struggles moving forward in any of these preseason games and the 49ers start to feel that this is going the same direction as last year, I wouldn't be surprised if they just called Joseph right back up. And right now, they, especially at this exact moment of time, they need these roster spots filled by guys that are helping out at practice at positions not named kicker, because there are a lot of players who are dinged up. The Broncos are coming to town on Thursday, and you have to make sure that you don't overtax guys on reps, because then you're just going to make your injury situation worse. So it was a luxury to carry the two kickers in the building at the same time. They've run out of that luxury because of stuff not going well elsewhere, and I just don't think that formally concludes the kicking competition, though, because this is a league where you can make a move at any time.
David, it seems like with Moody, you can really split his season into two parts last year, pre-ankle injury and post-ankle injury. So where is that ankle? Is he back to being 100%? And is there a belief that they can get him back to being the kicker that they saw in the first half of the season?
Well, yeah, he was really good. He only missed one kick. It was the one in L.A. in week 3 before he got run over by who was it? That was DJ Dallas. Yeah, it was DJ Dallas against Arizona. It was ironic, right? Because maybe fitting. Yeah. You say fitting for this, because the 49ers special teams was so bad that the kicker had to be in on a tackle for kick coverage, and then he got run over and he suffered a high ankle sprain, and then he missed half his kicks from that point onward after he came off of IR. So I think it was definitely connected to the injury last year. Now, the problem is that when a kicker struggles, regardless of the reason, it could be a physical reason, but that sometimes will pollute their mind for a longer time than it takes to heal the physical injury. So far, Jake Moody has been good. I mean, he's gone toe-to-toe with Greg Joseph. And, one of the things, too, all things even, Moody was always going to win this competition. And so far, things have been relatively even because he's got 2 more years on his contract, and the 49ers don't want to terminate a contract with an extra year of team control. They could just re-sign Greg Joseph tomorrow and have the same deal that they had with him before. You couldn't say the same thing about Jake Moody, who's still on his rookie contract. But I think that they saw the injury, they saw what it did to him, and they said, okay, let's give him a chance at a mental reset. That's what he's gotten. He's not going to be able to fully prove that he has successfully reset, though, until games start, at least preseason games. He's got to kick in an actual game situation. So that's why I'm saying he is still on the hot seat right now for the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, I thought, made that clear during yesterday's press conference.
Okay, well, that'll be the status then. Jake Moody, you are good, ... for now, period, and we'll see how he performs. You're listening to KNBR AM and KNBR FM San Francisco, the sports leader, a Cumulus media station. So, David Lombardi, the voice you hear on the UMA guest line, so much depends on these rookies, so much on this draft as the Niners go young and try to restock. How would you evaluate the rookies you're seeing, both drafted and undrafted, the good and the bad?
Well, there's a lot of them, which is really exciting. It's really fun to be out there at camp and always be looking at somebody new. At this point, I'm really ready for the Broncos to come in because we have gotten 2 weeks of practice to watch these rookies. And at this point, I understand the skill sets. I understand some of the initial strengths and weaknesses. I can't wait to see them play against somebody else rather than their own teammates, because that's what's been going on here for the first part of camp. My, initial impressions, the things that really have stood out to me over the course of not just the past 2 weeks, but also going back to spring and OTAs, is that Alfred Collins and Michael Williams have a lot of length, especially Alfred Collins. His wingspan's over 7 feet tall. So it hasn't been all too surprising to me to see Alfred actually struggle a little bit early in camp just with the leverage, staying low. Because this guy was winning everything in college just because he was stronger than everybody. He was 6'6", 332. And in the league, you can't get away with that. You have to make sure you get your pads lower than the offensive linemen that you're rushing against. And it's been really fun to watch Alfred Collins progress in front of our eyes over the course of the past few days. He won a couple one-on-ones yesterday that he wasn't winning about a week ago, because he's starting to get that feel, get lower, starting to get his legs underneath him. He didn't have the OTAs, right, because of the calf injury that he suffered at his pro day before the 49ers drafted him. But now he's healthy. Now he's progressing. And it might take a couple years for this guy to really blossom as a pass rusher, but that's not why the 49ers drafted him. They drafted him to really plug the run. All those guys up front, C.J. West, Alfred Collins, Michael Williams, the primary goal for all of them is to come and stop the bleeding against the run, because that's what prevented the 49ers from doing anything positive last year. That was such a bad run defense. So we'll find out if they can turn the corner soon enough in about a month, right, against Seattle. That's going to be the big test early on. But my initial reaction to these rookies has been the length of the defensive linemen. And then, maybe that theme even carries over to the secondary, because Upton Stout, who's only 5'8", he only measures 5'8", but he plays so much bigger. And he's the guy that's probably surging the most right now. Ricky Pearsall, by the way, looks unbelievable. Ricky Pearsall looks unreal. But if there's anybody that could cover him and go toe-to-toe with him on at least some reps, it's the rookie third-round pick out of Western Kentucky, Upton Stout. Had another awesome pass breakup yesterday where it looked like he was 6'2", but he's actually only 5'8".
Yeah, David, I actually wanted to follow up on that because I saw a lot of hype talking about those one-on-ones between Ricky Pearsall and Upton Stout. What was your breakdown of those one-on-one performances, and is Upton Stout currently tracking to maybe be that starting nickel corner?
The two best pass breakups of camp haven't come during one-on-ones. These have actually come during team drills. I know they faced each other some in one-on-ones, but during team drills about a week ago, Upton Stout just levitated. It was a deep out pass to Ricky Pearsall, and the 49ers, I think, posted the highlight up on their social media. But he got, I think he was a good 35 inches off the ground. He was using he has a good vertical jump, but he was using all of it, and he knocked the ball away. And then yesterday he knocked another one away on an out pattern as well. So he's had some success near the boundary, which is really nice. They're looking at him as a nickel because he is only 5'8", but I think that he can flex outside in a pinch. And plus, he gives you the advantage, I think, on the inside of flying under the radar because he is a smaller player. So there are times when he's going to get lost in that traffic, and that's good for run defense. That's good for some potential blitzes. And One thing that I can say, I think that Robert Saleh 2.0 here, you know, the changed Robert Saleh over the years. He was with the Jets. He got some experience head coaching, and the league has evolved. And Kyle, I think, made it really clear that he needed a defensive coordinator who could move his defense into 2025. After last year, they were just way too vanilla at times. I think the 49ers are going to blitz a little bit more this year. I think there's going to be guys like Jason Pinnock on the back end. He has 6.5 sacks in New York. He was the top-graded blitzing safety in the league one of those years. Guys like Upton Stout, I think they're going to bring some pressure from D. Winters, too, who's going to start at linebacker, too, for the 49ers. These guys are going to bring some creative pressure that we may not have seen the round one from Robert Saleh.
That'd be interesting. David Lombardi giving us a camp report here. A few more questions here as we get ready. 49ers, Broncos, Saturday at 5:30 at Levi Stadium. Joint practice with the Broncos on Thursday. The running back position is obviously Christian McCaffrey's domain, but the backup running back has been a storyline for the 49ers for the last few years, and with Jordan Mason gone, you sort of look at Isaac Guerrero. Now you hear he's hurt. I don't know how serious that is. You can tell us how that is. And then you look beyond that. They drafted a kid, Jordan James. We heard he's hurt. Then you look beyond that, the undrafted running back, Corey Kiner. I guess that's a long way of saying, could you handicap the running back room?
Well, Jordan James was back out in his pads yesterday. We're probably going to see him return to full action here shortly. He was day-to-day when they first put him on the injury report last week. There's some minor knee issues. So he was looking good. And, you know, it's really hard to evaluate running backs until you can actually tackle to the ground, which you can't do in these practices. This is a preseason game thing because they can't break tackles until the defense can tackle to the ground. But Jordan James and Corey Kiner both have very similar builds. You know, shorter guys, 5'8", 5'9", but stocky, and I think they both move more quickly than their metrics would indicate. 49ers certainly thought so at James's workout when they sent a bunch of guys up to Oregon's Pro Day. That's what Tariq Ahmad, one of the 49ers personnel directors, said, that they were pleasantly surprised by the burst that he showed. So my comp for both of them, both of the rookies, is Devontae Freeman, who was built really similarly, did not have a good athletic score, but did everything right and had a surprisingly good burst. So somehow it wasn't measured, and usually that's because they're intelligent. They're football smart, right? They know when to put their foot on the ground. They know when to cut. They feel where holes are, where tacklers are, and that allows them to play faster. And it doesn't matter how fast their 40 or their 10-yard split is, because the way that they apply their speed intelligently on the field actually makes them move more quickly than the defense. So I think both of those guys are good, just all-around running backs. We'll see how good the pass protection is, though. I think that's the one box that you really have to check once, not just live action starts, but once the regular season starts as well, because that's when the complex blitz packages are going to be thrown at you. That's when you really have to understand what's there to block as a running back, and that's when you develop the trust. So that's going to be a work in progress, but they have some talent there for sure. They've got a veteran who's a good pass protector in Patrick Taylor Jr. And yes, Isaac Guerrero, it sounds like he's going to be out for a few weeks with the shoulder injury. So they need to knock on wood and hope that Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. But that was going to be the case regardless of whether or not Isaac Guerrero was available.
Moving on to the wide receiver room, David, we saw Isaiah Nayer's name pop up on the list of players that were cut yesterday. Now, 49er fans who have been following along with training camp have seen him as one of the few standouts so far in that wide receiver room. So can you talk to us about that decision that was made yesterday?
Well, he stood out one day, one catch, and he got a lot of hype because they posted it. The guy's super athletic. Dane Brugler does a great job. He works with Athletic. He does the draft report. He wrote this year that Isaiah Nayer might be the most athletic player, like not just receiver, player in the entire 2025 rookie class, which is like eye-opening praise. But, I mean, you look at the numbers, 4.40 40, 1.5 10-yard split, 40-inch vertical leap, 6'4", 220, like everything that you could possibly want from the athletic profile, but it's just like a quarterback where everybody falls in love with the guy who's 6'5", 220, can run a 4.5, 4.4, and they think that he's automatically going to be good. That's not the case at receiver either. It's about consistently running the right route. It's about catching the football down after down. It's not just about one deep pass or one deep catch. It's about the ability to be reliable on a consistent level. So we saw that one amazing catch from Isaiah Nair on the second day of training camp. It was in triple coverage from Mac Jones. And then we might have seen him make one more catch over the practices and the subsequent 10 days or so, but not much more than that. And they've got a lot of issues across the roster. The receiver room is a place where they're just looking for as much consistency as they can in the back end of the room, really, to get through these practices. And I guess they felt they weren't seeing enough progress from Isaiah Nair, so they decided to go ahead and, Robbie Chosen is now on the team. He's a 32-year-old. Do I expect him to make the 53? Maybe if they have a big injury pinch. I don't expect him to be a long-time fixture for the 49ers, but just goes to show you how important consistency is to these coaches in the NFL.
And then finally, David, just Jauan Jennings. I mean, Richard Sherman had the comment in his podcast saying, I think if they got him a new contract, his calf might heal up. I'm paraphrasing right now. But what are the rumblings? Is that at all a bad vibe now in camp?
I don't think it's a bad vibe because even if there is a hold-in going on, it hasn't been, thrust in everybody's face. Like last year, Brandon Ayuk would just walk out onto the field, and it was very clear what was happening. And I don't think it, obviously didn't make Kyle Shanahan happy. And you guys know what the vibe was like last year. This year, Jauan showed up and started practicing and kind of, put that all on the back burner. Then he did leave with the calf and spend 6 practices now that he's missed. So the longer this has taken, the more people are starting to think, oh, okay, wait, maybe this is a delayed onset hold-in. What's going on here? And Richard Sherman brought that up the other day. So then yesterday, Kyle Shanahan was asked again about the calf, and he said same thing, because the time prior, Kyle Shanahan had been really short with his answer about the calf. He said it's the same thing as spring. So yesterday, the follow-up question was, are you sure this is not business related? And Kyle responded, you should go ask Jauan or something. I'm paraphrasing as well. But it was a very curious answer to me because Kyle could have easily said, no, it's not business related. His calf is hurt. But instead, he said, go ask Jauan before saying that his calf is hurt. So I don't think that Kyle chooses his words by accident. I don't have confirmation of this, but I could just read the tea leaves in this situation and say that. I think that, we talked about this 2-3 weeks ago, right? I think that somebody like Jauan Jennings both sides are in between a rock and a hard place, and they've got to find this tough needle to thread because he is a really good receiver who's only being paid $7.5 million this year, but he's not quite an A-list player, right? 49ers have decided to pay all their A-list players big bucks, and they're looking for bargain deals elsewhere. They currently have him on a bargain deal, but sometimes, that arrangement doesn't work for both parties. So can they find a way to still get a good price while Jauan Jennings is happy? I think that's what they're trying to work on right now.
All right, comprehensive. Man, oh, man, we could have kept going. We didn't talk O-line. We didn't talk, DB, secondary. Wait, we just got to let you go, though, David. We've plumbed your blame enough. For the rest, go to SF Standard or watch David on YouTube. He'll give you all you need to know to cover the 49ers. So we do appreciate the big chunk of information, and we look forward to more coverage, and thanks for hopping on.
Yeah.